Alright, hi, welcome you guys, and today we'll be talking about graphing absolute value functions. It, those absolute value functions are going to be pretty simple just to work with, so let's get it in. Okay, so the absolute value functions we're talking about is something that looks like this. Oh, no, sorry. Okay. Oops. There we go. Alright, something looks like this. X minus 3 absolute value plus 4. Okay, so just graphing something like this is going to be pretty simple. Now also, something that does pop up too, okay, is maybe you'll have to graph an inequality, something that looks like this. Y is greater than or equal to absolute value of 2x minus 7. Okay. Now also another notation that you might see is y is equal to abs parentheses x minus 5 parentheses plus 1. Okay, these are all equivalent statements. They all do the same exact thing, except right here, this one you're going to be filling in a different direction, okay? Okay, so when you're graphing, you can graph them by hand. That's totally fine. I highly recommend go to Desmos and use it quite a bit. So when you're trying to put it in, when you do put in parentheses or absolute value bars or square root or something, you're going to have the entire thing appear. So you're going to be typing into the function right now. So you put in x minus 3. Okay? And if you can't see that, let me drag it over. There you go. Okay? Now, what happens is that you're actually doing some stuff to the graph that's making the values appear this way. And so let me show you what I'm talking about values. So let's go to a table. Okay, so this is x and this is what y is technically. Okay, so what happens is when I put in the plus 5, if you notice all the values for negative 2 to 2 are right here, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Okay. Now, if I go ahead and get rid of that plus 5 and just bring it down here, all my values have gone down 5. That's because I was adding 5 to all my values. Okay, so that's kind of cool. Now, here's a weird thing. If I decrease this, let's make this a 2 now. Okay, everything decreases by 1, so that makes sense because I'm not subtracting. But that's kind of weird because I'm subtracting 1 less, so everything now goes down 1, which is kind of weird fact. Okay, if I make it 1, everything goes down. Everything that goes on inside the function when you're graphing it is backwards from what you're used to. So let's make this a plus. Plus 1. Okay, now if you notice on my graph, it looks like a ricochet type of action. But also, if I go up to 2, now everything's increasing by 1. So it's just a weird type of action. But it's not these ones increasing, it's these ones increasing. So it's a weird type of thing. And the reason is because of these negative values that give the illusion of still you're moving up and stuff. If I increase by quite a bit, well, if I increase by quite a bit, yeah, I'm going to have something. Okay. All right, now it is a reflexive type of graph, and it is reflexive about the y-axis if you have no numbers on the inside but you have numbers on the outside. Okay, so please understand it looks like you're coming down and badoing, and it's like a bullet bouncing off of something. So the absolute value function is always kind of cool like that. Now if you're graphing an inequality like this, okay, remember, don't forget to put it in. When you get the inequality, you're going to have to type in the greater than and then the equal sign, and you can get that equal sign underneath and then put x right here. Now what's going to happen is everything inside is going to be shaded because it's everything greater than the absolute value of x. Now if we get rid of this and just type in less than or equal to, we're going to get a pretty cool graph that looks like this, where it's shaded underneath. So just be ready for it when you're working with it and stuff. Okay? Alright. Now to just talk about our actual graph. Alright. To talk about the actual mechanics of it, you can put some variables in there like what I'm doing, and put an A in front, and add sliders for all because you can mess around with them, okay? Alright, so the number in front that's being multiplied outside of the actual absolute value, let's put a B in here. Let's make it B. There we go. Okay. Alright, so if we change A, if we make it positive, if we make it big, it's going to make the V appear slimmer. And if we make it close to 0, but not quite underneath 0, we get it to make, it's like it's squished. Okay, if we make it negative, it flips it upside down. Which some of you guys are going, wait, this is an absolute value. Absolute value should always be positive, Mr. Devaney. That is contrary to what I know. You are correct. This number will be absolute value or positive, but if this number is negative, a negative times a positive number after we get done finding the absolute value is still going to be negative, so that's why it appears upside down. Okay, let's move back to 1. Okay, this is normal position. Boom. Okay, now H, if you make it more positive, it will move it to the left. If you make it more negative, it'll move it to the right. You know, you just have to be careful with what you're doing here. You know, just H, if you make it positive, moves it left. If you make it negative, moves right. And remember, it's an illusion because what you're doing is increasing the X values quite a bit. Okay, now K, if you make it positive, it goes up. If you make it negative, it goes down. That's because you're adding a number outside, and thus you're increasing or decreasing the values as you go. Okay. All right, now B will actually make it slimmer, but if I make B big enough and then I also move over H, it moves it slower. So you have to use both H and B to actually make that happen, okay? But usually most of the time, you guys, it's just B is going to be 1 and A will be a different number. So like if I had this, and I had this, and I had this, okay, this would be literally y equals absolute value, sorry, not absolute value, 3.3 absolute value of x minus 2.6 plus 2.7. And as you can see, they overlap. So it's really kind of cool to see how this stuff works. Okay, but just take the time to understand what the graph is doing by looking at the sliders and mess around with it. It's really cool when you put in sliders, and all you have to do to put in sliders is type in the letters and then click on add sliders, and it makes sense. Okay, all right, you guys, hopefully you have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.